So, the battery, okay? The electrolyte is a chemical medium that allows the flow of electrical charge between the cathode and the anode. When a device is connected to a battery, a light bulb, or an electrical circuit, chemical reactions occur on the electrolytes that create a flow of electrical energy to the device. And then also, go to the car, and back to the car. It's like watching it like trip into it. I'm just kidding. Okay. Normally, when it's all hooked up, the negative ground cable would connect to the negative battery terminal to the engine cylinder block close to the starter. The positive cable connects to the, obviously, the positive battery terminal to the starter solenoid. The starter solenoid is the part of an automobile which switches a large electric current to the starter motor in response to a small current, and which in turn sets the engine in motion. The battery serves as a giant flywheel to smooth voltage from the alternator. The battery prevents sudden alternator surges on the electrical load charges from radically changing the electrical voltage. And here's my diagram. So you can see good car connects to the positive, and the negative from the good car to the bad car connects to one of the ground. Yes. Okay, I'll leave this up to you guys.
You got cool. Alright, so here we have the fuse panel, which if you open it, has the fuses on the inside. Alright, and the main job of the fuse is to protect the wiring. Fuses should be sized and located to protect the wire that they are connected to. If a device like your car radio suddenly draws enough current to blow the fuse, the radio is probably already toast. The fuse is there to protect the wire, which would be much harder to replace the radio. And then most cars have two of these. The one is in the engine compartment that holds the fuses for the device, like the cooling fans, anti-lock braking, and such, all of which are located in the engine compartment. Another fuse panel, which is right here, is located by the driver's knees. And then it holds fuses for the devices, and the switches located in the passenger compartment over here. Alright, so if you look way down here underneath the starter, there is the solenoid. And when voltage is applied to the solenoid coil, it emerges as an electromagnet, which then pulls the valve piston to direct air from the source to the other port. Sometimes the ports are connected where vacuum or boost is routed through the normally closed port, and other times it's normally the open port. So the other port as well is the other port.
Okay, so down here we have the alternator. The alternator is the component of the electrical system that charges up the battery. So the alternator is made up of a couple different parts held together by the housing here. The housing is made from aluminum, so it's not magnetic, which is very important to the function of the alternator. Inside the housing, there's a couple of wires in here. I don't know if you can see them, but the wires and the rotor are there to charge up the battery. That's what's mainly the function of the alternator. So the battery runs a current through these wires here, and there's some switches in there that make the current switch in the wires, and it creates a magnetic field in there that spins the rotor, and the rotor is what ultimately charges up the battery.
We're going.
Alright, so the battery's over here, and then the starter is underneath the solenoids, like I said. And while the battery supplies the power to start your vehicle, the starter is really what gets the engine going. The battery supplies a small amount of power to the starter motor. The starter then rotates the flywheel, which turns the crankshaft and begins the movement of the engine's piston. This intricate process is why it's key to making sure that your starter works.